This is the Kay and Burton Report.
Hello and welcome, I'm Tracy Atkins, coming to you this edition from what would have to be one of my favourite offerings of the year for Kay and Burton. I'm at 1 Eldine Court in Toorak, which is a whole different level of offering, and that's on so many levels. I'm joined by our architect at large, Jared Haberfield. Jared, you're filing a story here for our Design Matters segment. You know this property quite well now, and it is very exciting, isn't it?
For me, it's exciting because it's different, and I'm thrilled to see something being brought to the market in Toorak that is more informal and gives us a much more casual version of luxury than we're used to seeing here. And for me, that's in line with the international benchmarks that we're seeing at the top end of the real estate markets elsewhere.
I'm going to let you go around and have a look because you're about to file, as I said, for Design Matters and tell us the story of the property. So I'll let you go, but we would use this property at the moment as a bit of an indication of just where the market is sitting, and we're getting still continuing really strong quality stock, which I think underpins the fact that the market is tracking really well, because good stock comes out only when the market is tracking quite well. So positive signs certainly on the weekend for Kay and Burton, another good weekend on the auction front. The company delivered a clearance rate of around 75%. Our cameras were out and grabbed some of the highlights.
For the third time at 2,380,000, are you all done? Are you all finished? Are you all silent?
It's music to the ears of any anxious vendor. The sound of iconic Kay and Burton chairman Gerald Delaney doing it like no one else can. But the veteran auctioneer wasn't the only one in full cry on the weekend, as the company knocked down a string of sales from the 700,000s all the way up to the mid-4 millions.
But last weekend especially, there were a couple of properties that I'd been to and I did the auctions for that were outstanding results. And these are homes with multiple bidders. Myvor Court in Toorak was an outstanding result, and I'd say it's probably 10 to 15% above the vendor's reserve. And again, good homes in good Toorak locations are bringing people out who do want to engage, and they do want to compete for these good homes.
Company director Gowan Stubbings admits he continues to be surprised by the running this market still has in it.
We've noticed as we move toward the winter hiatus, we typically find that the market will go into a recess. It does every year. But I've just noticed over the last 3 or 4 weeks there's been a resurgence in the marketplace.
The Expressions of Interest Forum too is continuing to deliver the goods. Agent Michael Armstrong just delivered the sale of the much talked about 99 Millsman Street South Yarra, which sold swiftly and bullishly on the back of a now familiar volley of strong early offers.
Typically, these expression of interest campaigns are selling either at the close or within a couple of days after the close of the campaign. So that was a good example. That sold the day after it closed. There was good interest in it, and the market matched up to where the vendor was pretty accurately. So it was very straightforward in the end.
The coming weekends will be busy in the lead up to the winter break. 13 homes will go under the hammer this weekend for the company, while a number of noteworthy EOI campaigns will move into their final stages, including Eldine Court. But the winter slowdown is now looking anything but. Kay and Burton's schedule already beginning to fill with spring stock in what looks like being the signs of more good things to come.
I think it'll be business as usual in sort of that August-September market. I always think it's a great time to sell and advise our clients that way.
We are looking at property now for that August-September period. A lot of the marketplace where we operate will start to quieten down through that July period. A lot of people do tend to go and enjoy the northern summer, where our winters are getting incredibly cold, and we will notice from that August-September onwards that there'll be a lot more property coming on.
The Kay and Burton Report, proudly partnering with NAB Business Banking. To subscribe, go to kburtonreport.com.
Now, there's no shortage of funky apartment buildings appearing on Melbourne's landscape right now, but every now and again one comes along that really seems to flick a lot of switches. And right now it's here in Russell Street in the city at the new QT development, which has only been on the market for about 3 weeks, but already more than 60% of the small offering of 24 apartments have gone. And it seems to be that edgy 5-star hotel lifestyle that everybody's buying into. The X Factor runs very high at QT hotels. This one in Sydney and others smattered about the country are the last word in cool from the moment you step across the threshold.
Welcome to QT.
Like the Sydney offering, QT Melbourne is set upon a former theatre site in Russell Street, the edgy minimalist display suite providing enough of a sense that life here in the future will never be dull.
It is something a bit different for Melbourne. I mean, it really hasn't, this concept hasn't been done before on the scale of what we're talking about here.
Kay & Burton director Peter Kadelka has sat across a lot of Melbourne's building launches over the years and admits even he's blown away with the response QT has received. Some of it he attributes to the good price, between $550,000 and just over $1 million. Some of it to a very well-oiled development and design team that knows how to deliver a strong product, and some of it he puts down to the pure, irresistible appeal of living a life a little less ordinary.
I think, you know, if you can offer something that's a bit boutique and a bit different in today's marketplace, the results speak for themselves.
We may be heading into the cooler months, but there's no shortage of good quality homes coming into play by the bay. Take, for example, 187 Beach Road, Sandringham. This is a superbly sculptured residence right opposite Sandy's Best Beach and offering ever-changing water views all day long. The design takes its cue from the natural tones and textures of the surrounds, with the stunning top-level living and entertaining zone offering superb floor-to-ceiling vistas over the lovely coastline. The bespoke kitchen, equipped with Caesar stone bench, streamlined cabinetry and innovative appliances, connects to the huge, fully retractable glass door that opens up to the adjoining terrace. On ground level, there's a beautiful low-maintenance garden, two-bedroom guest wing with beautifully tiled bathroom, and a private main bedroom with huge dressing room and lavish ensuite. This is a real beachside benchmark. A little further up the beach, in the heart of the iconic Golden Mile, we find 5 Mitten Grove, Brighton, and this is a really beautiful home, the ultimate indulgence designed to pamper with its imported finishes from antique Murano glass chandeliers to American oak floorboards, Italian travertine bathrooms, bespoke cabinetry and antique wall sconces. Flooded in northern light, each level is created with entertaining in mind and combines opulence with functionality and privacy, with a pervasive sense of openness and space. The sitting room is an elegant area for daily living, while the regal dining room opening onto a north-facing terrace is designed for grand entertaining. Continue entertaining your sport guests with a large fitted cinema boasting integrated surround sound. A highlight is the top floor living room with glass walls framing the view at every turn, opening up onto the grand terrace boasting the best outlook in Brighton. And still in the Golden Mile comes another estate which is about as good as it gets in terms of location, with a bit of history thrown in for good measure. Built in 1924 for famous yachtsman Jock Sturrock, 17 Birdwood Avenue was sold in 1979 at what was then the most expensive auction the city had ever seen.
Now this is the last call. I am going to sell. Sold to the gentleman over here on the left.
This famous residence still boasts its whopping 1,330 square metre estate, with its 24.4 metre frontage to the beach still the envy of the town. Its beautiful period detail, grandly built and designed rooms and incredible pools and gardens ensure its constant relaxation here. Its immediate access to the beach, bike trails and shopping district will give its lucky occupants all the enjoyment and leisure that waterfront living can possibly offer.
Design Matters with Jared Haberfield.
It's a much more contemporary approach to a house design in the suburb because it is so much more informal. And I think that in general, Toorak is a suburb that's been slower to take up some of those more informal contemporary ways of life and is more inclined to have a designated study and a designated formal dining room and the kitchen perhaps even out of view from the main living space. And this feels to me like it captures some of the spirit of the 21st century and how people, regardless of their age or stage, are more inclined to be wanting to live at home. Indoor-outdoor flow is something that's spoken about, every chance you get. often, both in design speak and in real estate speak, and I think very often it's misunderstood how hard you have to work for that to actually really be achieved. But I think that here the prevalence of glass on the inside of all of these rooms that refer to this courtyard in the centre, but also the careful resolution of that threshold so that it is flush, those things really actually give indoor-outdoor flow a bit more credence for me as an idea. Single level living, particularly in this suburb, typically is brought to us in the form of penthouse style apartments, and that's one form, which is of course completely legitimate. What I like about the use of the single level in this particular case is that we are on the ground floor and we do have a connection to the earth, to the landscape, so you feel much more, because you're below the tree line, like you are in a house environment. And so it's got a lovely sense of permanence in a way that perhaps sometimes an apartment mightn't have. And yet there's not a single step in the whole property. What I think has been dealt with really well here is that it's ergonomic, and it's very important in an age where technology plays such a big part in our lives that we're making sensible choices about what's required and what's not, and then not committing to systems that don't speak to each other. So here for me, that integration has happened in a really elegant way is actually the success of the smart wiring, because we've been dealing with houses where you can turn lights on and off at the switch of a flick of a switch for a long time, but I think here it's the integration and the ease of use that adds to that sense of informality and ease, so that you can just come home, drop a bag on the floor, touch one button, the lights come on.